Amelia Mosley and you're watching BTN. Thanks for joining us again. Let's see what's coming up on today's show. We find out why Bonza went bust, learn about ancient kangaroos, and meet the kid behind Cunnamulla's junior cricket team. All that soon, but first today to a debate that's going on right now over freedom of speech and safety online. The government is asking the public if Australia should toughen up rules around what you can and can't put on social media. It's following a bit of a fight with a tech billionaire. Here's Michelle with more.
Welcome to the internet, a place of fun and unlimited possibilities. Want to learn? We have all the information in the world. Literally. Is it all true? What is true anyway? You can connect with old friends and make new friends. Yeah, that guy looks friendly. Did you say kittens? Of course we have kittens. There's also horrific violence, crime, hate speech and bullying. Okay, if the internet was a place, you'd probably think twice about going there. And yet, most of us spend a lot of our lives online, which is why in 2017, Australia became the first country in the world to create an eSafety Commission, an organisation dedicated to, well, eSafety. Under the leadership of the eSafety Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, it acts kind of like an online police force and has the power to take action against nasty things online. How much power? Well, that's kind of what we're finding out at the moment. Right now, the eSafety Commissioner is in a bit of a standoff with social media company X and its owner Elon Musk. It all started after videos of a violent attack in Sydney were shared on social media. The eSafety Commissioner ordered the violent footage to be taken down. X geo-blocked the footage, so it couldn't be seen in Australia, but the eSafety Commissioner wanted it to be taken down completely. Now the issue's in Australia's federal court, and it started a huge debate about freedom of speech and censorship on the internet.
But I want to ask you about Elon Musk. He's mocked you this morning for choosing censorship and propaganda over free speech and truth.
Well, this is a bloke who's chosen ego and showing violence over common sense.
We need to get the right balance. So that is, we don't want to impinge on your ability to express a view in a democracy. It's a key fundamental element of who we are.
And there's nothing wrong with spreading news. There's a big problem with spreading misinformation or spreading incitements to violence.
Some people think that the internet should be totally free, a place where anyone can express their opinions or share information, and if you don't agree with them, you can just unfollow. That is definitely what Elon Musk thinks. Part of the reason he says he took over Twitter was to make it a place of free speech. He says governments don't have the right to decide what people should and shouldn't see. And if he says yes to Australia, he might have to say yes to other countries that are trying to control their people or hide stuff they don't want the world to see. The other side of the argument is the stuff you see on here can do real harm. Experts say that social media is helping to drive extreme opinions in some people. And some reckon the government has not only the right, but the responsibility to protect its citizens. And freedom of speech doesn't mean the freedom to inflict harm on others. In fact, the government's asking the public whether they should expand the powers of the eSafety Commission to give higher fines and to fight bullying, social media pile-ons, and misinformation. So, what do you think?
Certain people get offended and stuff, and then people stop using social media and stuff.
I think the government should control what people are saying on the internet, because some is racist, some sexual, and people are just rude on the internet.
I think there should be rules on what people say.
There should be some limitations to what people can say. You can say almost anything except for a few hurtful things.
Why were schools closed in the Philippines last week? Was it a public holiday, a cyclone, or a heat wave? It was a heat wave. The government cancelled in-person classes and warned of power cuts as temperatures soared.
The heat burns my skin. It's not like other times where it's tolerable. Now I can barely stay out that long.
Can you name this famous Italian tourist destination? It's Venice. and going on a day trip there will now cost you €5 or about $8. Authorities brought in fees for tourists to try to thin out crowds, which, according to locals, have been damaging the city and making them feel like they're living in a theme park. 19-year-old fishing fanatic Keegan Payne has become a millionaire after catching which sort of fish? Was it a tuna, a salmon, or a barramundi? It was a barramundi, but not just any barramundi. It had been tagged as a winning fish in the Northern Territory's annual $1 Million Fish competition.
Yeah, we weren't actually expecting a tag barra at the time, until her little sister actually asked what it was in the fish, and yeah, we told her, and yeah, we were freaking out. We nearly crashed the boat.
He turned it around and then there was a tag and it was like, no way, no way. And then he was jumping around, screaming.
It's the first time in the competition's history that anyone has won the top prize, and Keegan couldn't be happier.
Hey! Well, I'm buying a new boat, the Savo, and maybe the Savo and a new car.
Last week, a whole bunch of people were left stranded after an airline cancelled all its flights. Bonza started up a year ago and promised to fly people to regional centres for less. But now, its future's not looking great. Sass found out more.
Last year, Australia said g'day to its newest airline.
Oh my goodness, our aircraft is arriving today. So excited. Come on.
It promised to be very Aussie, with casual uniforms and some very ochre plane names.
Basha and Shasha. Who is Baz in Shazakoba?
More importantly, it promised to open Australia up, with new routes and cheaper flights between regional cities. But things didn't quite go to plan.
We just found out off the news this morning that all Bonza flights are cancelled.
Well, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Around 10 minutes before the boarding time, they announced that it's cancelled.
Last week, the airline went into voluntary administration, which basically means it can't pay its debts. And for now, all flights are cancelled. This isn't the first time something like this has happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to apologise. It seems Australia's airline industry is experiencing some ongoing difficulties. If you could just turn to your screen while I run you through the details.
The story of commercial flight in Australia starts with Qantas. Queensland and Northern Territory aerial services started up in 1920. But it was soon joined by other airlines. In fact, before World War II, Australia had one of the busiest airline industries in the world. But that didn't last. The government decided to buy Qantas and made it a national airline. It also brought in a law that said only 2 airlines were allowed to fly between major cities in Australia, making it much harder for other companies to compete. The 2-airline policy ended in the 90s and Qantas became a private company again. Its main rival, Ansett, ran into trouble and collapsed in 2001. But Virgin was waiting in the wings and we were back to having 2 main airlines. Over the years, smaller companies have come and gone, and while Rex has recently expanded, as of last year, 94% of air travel in Australia was either with these guys or these guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be noticing a lack of competition, which may impact the quality and price of this flight. Should you wish to use another airline, too bad, there aren't any.
Many experts say the lack of airline competition has had a big impact on customers.
Competition is important because it gives the customers choice, and it makes the airlines, in this case, work really hard to provide the services at a fair price to encourage people to use that service.
That's why many were excited about Bonza, which was the first new budget airline to start up in Australia in 15 years.
Bonza was helping Territorians, particularly in Alice Springs. It has been of great benefit to the industry, the tourism industry in Central Australia as well.
So, what went wrong?
Now, please remain seated as we explain the difficulties in running an airline in Australia.
Flying aeroplanes is really expensive, And Bonza tried to fly between places that the other airlines didn't, and those routes relied on a lot of people buying seats on those routes, which might not have eventuated.
Australia doesn't have a big population, which makes it harder to fill up a lot of planes. Plus, the fact that we've had two big airlines for so long makes it harder for new companies to compete.
We are determined as a government to make everything we can do to try and improve competition.
Some are hoping that Bonza will be able to bounce back, or that another company will fly in.
We really hope if Bonza does not continue to fly, someone else will come in and take up that capacity.
So it looks like we can expect some turbulence, but authorities are trying to find a way to keep us all in the air.
Next up, the first Aboriginal artefacts to be taken by the British have been returned to their traditional owners after a long fight to get them back. Jack found out about their journey and why many are hoping to see more culturally significant artefacts returned to where they came from. Take a look.
There's a lot of emotions going on, and I guess it's been a long journey, but we're really happy with how it's come through.
It's the moment many Gweagal and Dharawal people have been waiting for years now. The handing back of spears that once belonged to their ancestors.
We thank them for understanding that after 254 years, it was time for the spears to come home. We're looking forward to the hand back, and we're looking forward to welcoming the spears back home.
It's a very celebratory moment, but also a sad one because our old people that kicked this campaign off are no longer with us. But we know they're looking down on us.
They're known as the Gweagal spears.
From a cultural standpoint, spears were made in a spiritual way by senior men of our community, and it relates to a dreaming story that we have on how Aboriginal people in Botany Bay were created. And so for us, there's a very spiritual connection with spears. And those ones in particular, because they were made from our very old people, they're quite significant to us.
They're 4 of about 40 spears that were taken by Captain Cook and his crew in 1770 after he arrived at what we now know as Botany Bay.
It's a story that's been passed down for a very long time, and it's a shared history for all Australians.
When Cook returned to the UK in 1771, he presented the spears to Cambridge University's Trinity College, along with other items he had collected during his voyage across the Pacific. Over the years, Indigenous artefacts ended up in institutions around the world, including shields, canoes, even human remains, things that meant a lot to Australia's First Nations, and things that they've asked to be given back. It's not just an issue for Australia. You see, European colonisers had a bit of a habit of taking things from the places they were, well, colonising, and many of those things can still be seen in museums. The Parthenon sculptures are on display at the British Museum, despite Greece asking for them back since 1835. And this bust of Nefertiti is currently sitting in a museum in Berlin, even though Egypt has been requesting its return since 1924. While many say that these items belong on display in museums for all the world to see, others reckon they should be returned to the place they came from. In the past few years, some institutions have been making an effort to return items that were taken without permission. And here in Australia, many are hoping the Gweagal spears could lead the way for more items being returned.
I really hope that other communities look at what we've done and that they say that they can do it too. I really hope now that other museums are able to look at this process and see how beneficial it is from all sides.
Nolene says that once the Gweagal spears have landed back in Australia, they will go on display at the place where they were originally made, so all Aussies can appreciate them and their historical and cultural significance.
We actually get the spears back to where they belong. Gives us obviously a positive outcome that we get to show our community and our younger community.
I think for all Australians, It's important that, where our shared history started between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people in Australia, that we have them back. For our people, it's important that those that were taken without permission is returned to the rightful owners.
Now to an epic expedition to unearth an ancient kangaroo. Cavers, rangers and scientists have been working to remove a nearly complete skeleton of an extinct species called Cynostenurus occidentalis. Here's Jack.
Oh no! Skippy, help! Help, Skippy, help! I'm stuck, Skippy! Oh my goodness! Why are you so big, Skippy? And yet your face, it's so short. You know, I'm beginning to think you're not Skippy at all.
Listen, kid, no, I'm not Skippy. He's on vacay on Kangaroo Island. They've sent me instead. So, do you want to keep questioning my appearance, or do you want to be saved?
Oh, well, no, I want to be rescued, please.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, jump on my back and we'll skip on out of here, or whatever it is this Skippy does. I don't know, I've never seen it. Yeah, that certainly ain't Skippy. But it is a type of kangaroo, just not one you would have seen before. Because it went extinct 40 or so thousand years ago.
What?
The Cynostenurus occidentalis, or short-faced kangaroo, is a type of megafauna, which, as the name suggests, were huge animals that roamed around Australia tens of thousands of years ago. Creatures like 2-ton wombats, 6-metre-long crocs, and yeah, really big kangaroos like our short-faced friend, which experts reckon were hanging out all over the place for millions of years.
Short-faced kangaroos were, for the last couple of million years, really the most widespread and most successful variety of kangaroo in Australia.
How did you even get here?
Oh, a group of paleontologists dug me up. You know what they're like, always digging, dig, 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 dig. For the past 10 years, a team of paleontologists and cave enthusiasts have been carefully unearthing a skeleton belonging to a short-faced kangaroo.
My name is Tim Ziegler, and this is the fossil skeleton of a Pleistocene extinct kangaroo called Cynostenurus occidentalis. This skeleton was found underground. It's from a cave in East Gippsland near the town of Buchan. Oh, hello.
Tim says the discovery is really exciting because it's in pretty good condition, and it's one of the most complete skeletons found in a cave in Victoria.
Really keep your shoulders down, hug the rock. Part of the reason this skeleton is so exceptional is that it was in an exceptionally difficult place to reach. It was a protected ledge inside a cave in a vertical shaft covered by boulders that were washing water and sediment away from the bones. Our team had to squeeze ourselves into really unusual shapes and work very carefully right at the extent of our reach.
Oh, well done.
Shortface isn't the only exciting kangaroo find. In fact, just last month, 3 new species of ancient giant kangaroos were uncovered in Australia and New Guinea. Hi, hello, did I hear that someone needed saving? Yeah, nah, mate, don't worry, I've got it sorted. Oh, okay, bye.
Well, who was that?
Oh, that was just another type of giant kangaroo.
Oh, there are more of you.
Oh yeah, heaps. Today, the closest thing you'll find to a short-faced kangaroo or any other mega kangaroo is, well, a kangaroo. But the short-faced skeleton will soon be on display at Melbourne Museum, so you can take a look at what would have once been hopping over the country.
Well, are you gonna help me or not? I'm still stuck.
Yeah, calm your farm.
The geological time period that the megafauna lived in is known as the what? Is it the Cretaceous, the Pleistocene, or the Jurassic? It's the Pleistocene epoch, which lasted from 2.5 million to 11,700 years ago.
It's becoming pretty hard to ignore just how good Sydney FC is, especially if you ask their coach.
This current group, regardless of the stats of that, is the best team in history.
In front of more than 7,500 fans, they took home a record-breaking 5th A-League women's title, and their 2nd in a row. After a scoreless first half, Shay Connors ended up slotting the match winner just 2 minutes after she was subbed into the game, while midfielder Mackenzie Hawkesby was named player of the match. Speaking of history makers, the Central Coast Mariners have just become the first Australian team to ever win the AFC Cup. They beat Lebanese club Al Ahad 1-0 after this 84th minute goal from Alou Kuol. They'll now fly back to Australia, where they're hoping to become the first club to ever win an A-League Premiership, Championship and Asian Trophy in the same season. And to round out our history makers, the Aussie women's 4x100 relay team have smashed the Australian record to qualify for the Paris Olympics. After running the race in 42.83 seconds, this will be the first time Australia has had a women's 4x100 relay team since the Sydney Olympics.
Finally today, let's meet Henry, a young cricket fan from Queensland who was determined to give kids in his hometown a chance to play in a team of their own. Check it out.
The first thing you should know about Henry is he's a massive cricket fan.
So this is the cover drive, and this is the hook.
Oh, Henry loves cricket. He dreams about it. He literally talks about it in his sleep. He talks about it all day, every day.
Scoop shot, helicopter, pull shot, the sweep, the block.
He lives here in Cunnamulla, a small town in outback Queensland, where there hasn't been a junior cricket team in more than 30 years. In fact, every weekend, Henry and his mum take a 400k round trip to another town called Charleville, just so he can play.
It takes us 2 hours to get there and then 2 hours to get home. Oh, exhausting. Sometimes we're up at 5, leave by about 5:45, 6 o'clock, and then we get home about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So Henry decided to take matters into his own hands.
So I decided to make a cricket team in Cunnamulla. We've built it from scratch.
He got to work making flyers to put around town.
It says come down every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 3 till 5 p.m, hosted by Henry Land.
And started to recruit players who might want to join in on the fun.
I decided that we need more kids than just my mates.
And now the Cunnamulla Junior Cricket Team is in the early stages of becoming a fully fledged registered club, with some help from the local community.
Some people donate stuff. The IGA have decided to print off some shirts. Yeah, they've been really supportive.
Henry says the best part about cricket is everyone can get involved.
Doesn't matter if you're fast or slow, big or small, doesn't matter, just play.
But you do have to follow the rules.
We'll play 1-on-1 bounce and rebounds. Before you bat, you got to bowl, and if you don't bowl, then you don't get a bat.
Oh, way to go, Henry. Well, that's all we have for you today, but we'll be back with more news next week. And in the meantime, you can check out Newsbreak every weeknight right here in the studio. Plus, you can chat with us live on Ask a Reporter every Friday, so head to the website to check that out. Have the best week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.